All right. Calm down. How's it going? We're back again. We're not going to stop. We're just going to keep pushing through. If you don't know where you're at the Whiskey Shaman Podcast. And today we're doing something a little festive. You know, we're getting to the end of the year. We're going to do a, I don't know, it won't be a top 10. It won't be a top anything. It'll be some gifts that you can get your whiskey lover. Yeah. Whoever that is, your brother, your sister, your actual lover, I don't care. Just different gifts besides whiskey, right? I mean, obviously whiskey is the best gift, but if you don't know what to get them, so this might be a podcast that you send to somebody that doesn't really know what to get their significant other or their friend or whatever that's into whiskey. So these are some of my 2023 picks, if you want to call it that. Your holiday guide. As always, I'm really happy you guys are here, and I'm happy to be here. If you guys have been following me for a minute, which I hope you have, a lot's been going on. We're gonna get right into it here pretty quick. But as always, we do a little bit of housekeeping beforehand. So if that's not your jam, fast forward a little bit. It'll probably be 2 to 3 minutes, maybe. We're going to talk about what's going on in the life. Because that's part of this, right? It's life, right? This is Whiskey Life 101. So if you want to share this with your friends, sharing is caring, showing is growing. Let's get this out there. Let's get everybody hearing this. This is going to be a holiday edition. So if you're celebrating Kwanzaa or Hanukkah or whatever, I don't care what you're celebrating, just celebrate. And this season is meant for giving and giving back and giving to the whiskey people in your world. And so that's what we're here to do. All right. So we're at 2 something. Anyway, so this is where you would fast forward. We're going to do a little bit of housekeeping. All right, guys. So as you well know, on the last podcast, sorry it got cut short. Tim had to leave. They're trying to reopen their new distillery over at Shire, and it got cut short, and I was supposed to do a tasting of their whiskeys. He sent me a couple of samples, which thank you very much, Tim. That was very awesome. And anybody who wants to send samples, reach out to me at Whiskeyshamanpodcast at Gmail or on any of my socials, and I'll get you hooked up, and I'll do samples of whatever you want me to sample. I don't care if it's your homemade vodka. I don't care. I'll try it. Anyway, and home distilling is illegal. Don't do it. Anyway, where were we? Okay, so since our last podcast, when I went to Psalm 3, it was a great time. We had a really good time. I'm not going to rehash that. I did start chemo. So as of today, which is whatever, it doesn't matter what day it is, I am on day 11 of chemo. I've been meaning to do this podcast for a minute, and I just have not been able to, man. Chemo head is a thing, and it hurts. Not like hurts physically, but it hurts my brain. I can't think, so if I get lost in this, just bear with me. I'll try to bring it back. I did take notes. We'll try and get it back to where we need to be. But anyway, so chemo is weird. It's weird as hell, and I don't like it. But it's a necessary evil to get the cancer out. So, I don't know how often I'm going to be able to do podcasts because I know it has worn me out, and this is the first time I've been able to get in the shed, and we'll see. I'm going to try and knock a couple of them out this weekend, to where hopefully I can have some downtime if I need it. I'm trying to get guests still, but I don't want to call anybody, and not be able to fulfill, because every day is different. Luckily today I'm having a pretty good day. It's not great, but it's a pretty good day. We're working through it. I'm drinking a bunch of water, trying to stay hydrated, all that stuff. Anyway, I'm here. We're going to work through it. I'm going to go to it as much as I can until I can't no more. So just bear with me. All right, guys, we're at a little over 5 minutes. All right, cool. So that was 3 minutes of housekeeping. Not a big deal. Again, thank you all for all the support, not only with the podcast, but with my personal stuff. Thank you all for all of that, and continue, because we got a lot going on. Okay, so where do we begin? So you're looking to buy a gift for somebody in your family, your loved one, your husband, your wife, your whoever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you're buying it for, but they love whiskey, and they love whiskey related things. Now, most of these are not going to be whiskey. I mean, obviously, if you know that person well enough, just buy them good whiskey. I can give you some not some samples. I'm not going to give you samples. I can give you some examples at the end, maybe a couple of bottles that I would pick up, maybe if you can find them. But if you know the person, you hopefully know their profile. Look through their cabinet and see what they got, and maybe get them a special bottle. The first thing I would tell you, and this is number one, go to a local distillery. And get one of their special release bottles, whatever they have. Most of them have something for the holidays. It might be a cocktail, whatever thing, but get that, because it's going to be special. It's going to be limited release, something like that. Get that. They'll love it. Even if it's not exactly their profile, they'll still love it because you thought of them, and you thought, well, oh man, they went all the way to the distillery to get it. And if you're lucky enough to live around Kentucky, Tennessee, places where there are a lot of distilleries, shop around a little bit. But anyway, all right, so let's move. And I will try. I'm not guaranteeing anything, so do not hold me to this, please. Don't do it. Don't hold me to this. I'm going to try to link some of this stuff in the bio with Amazon links if I can. But if I can't, you know how to search Amazon, right? I mean, it's not that freaking hard. Everybody does it. We all do it. Just freaking do it. Now, there is some other places that are probably going to be better, but most of these things you can find on Amazon or find something equivalent on Amazon. So let's get right into it. One of the cool things that a lot of people do that are into whiskey is they like to put whiskey on the rocks, right? So they'll get a big ice ball and they'll use that. Okay, so one of the things you could get is a ornate ice mold. You know what I mean? They make all different types. They make some that look like the Death Star. They make some that look like different, like a diamond. They make some that look just like a rock, like a circle. They make square ones, all different types. But there's another one, and I'm sure if you've looked around, you've seen this. It's called the corksicle. Again, I'll try to link it. Don't hold me to it. But it's basically a whiskey glass that it has like half of its ice, but it's on a slant. So it's like a slanted ice. Kind of cool. You put it in the freezer, the whole glass, then you pour your whiskey on top of it and drink it. It's kind of cool because the ice is, so the liquid is on one half and it's kind of, measured out like that. Kind of cool, kind of nichey, kind of stupid, but at the same time, it's, it is what it is. All right. So, moving on. So this one that I found, we talked about in a podcast in the past, we talked about cocktails, right? And we talked about different types of cocktails you can make with whiskey. Well, there's a company, and none of these are sponsored. Right. Okay. So just get that out of your head. None of these are sponsored. So I could care less if you go to any of these places. Okay. Just letting you know that. It's called Honest John's Bitters Sample. And so basically it's a box of different types of bitters. Everything from Angostura to not Peychaud's. Peychaud's is a brand, obviously, but like an Angostura type, ancho chili, orange bitters, you know what I'm talking about, all the different bitters. And you basically can make whatever cocktail you want to make, put whatever type of bitters you want to make. A lot of people use the Ancho Rey chilies. That's what they're called, Ancho Rey chili bitters. And they make like a really nice cocktail with it. I have not used those yet, but I'm looking into them when I can stomach a whiskey in the near future. I haven't tried any, but it's hard just drinking water. Anyway, stay hydrated, guys. Okay, so I thought that was kind of cool, like just a little bitters box to where, if you're like me, most of you aren't like me, but if you're like me, you like a good old-fashioned. Well, you like to play around with bitters. I like to use Peychaud's. I like to use Angostura. I like to use these. I like to use the black walnut. And so, like, it gives it different flavors. So that's one of the things that you can do, is you can just, get this sampler and try different bitters, and that's kind of cool. I thought that was a little different, but yet it's still whiskey themed. So super cool, like it. So the next thing, and this is for your more of your whiskey nerd, right? Now, most people who are listening to this podcast are going to be your whiskey nerd, I would hope. But that would be a whiskey book, right? I've multiple times mentioned the Tasting Whiskey book by Lou Bryson. And then there's a bunch of other books called The World of Whiskey. You can go specific into different regions like Scotch or Irish or American or whatever. Different distilleries have books. That to me is a cool gift for me. So I could learn more about the history and the science behind that particular brand or that particular region, right? If you're into that, that's a cool thing to do. Again, I'll try and link the one that I found. I feel like there's going to be a lot of links, which I'm not good at links. As you well know, I can barely link myself. Anyway, all right. We're running through these, guys. We're not playing around. Because it's a book. Get a whiskey book. Like I don't really have that much more to say about it. It's a freaking book. I don't care if you get a book or not. Just get one. They're cool though. Like I have quite a few books. Like when I do research, I feel like I'm trying to convince you that I do research, but I do. But I do research on the different topics that we're working on. Like this, I did, my sleuthing for this for a while, just before I even started thinking about building the podcast or anything like that. So, if you have a significant other or friend or whoever that's really into Japanese whiskey, find a Japanese whiskey book. I'm sure there's some out there, or there's some that have a huge chapter about Japanese whiskey or whatever. And see what you can find and help them out with that, because the more knowledge they have, the better they can help you with, help themselves and not sound like a dummy when they're talking about whiskey. All right, so this one is kind of cool. I don't have one. It's not because I feel like I'm better than it, but I don't have one of these. It's a whiskey nosing kit. So whenever you sign up for I don't know, I think it's Stave and Thief, the Bourbon Stewardship, they send you a nosing kit, which is basically all these different spices and things that you smell. Like you want to know what vanilla smells like. Obviously, most people know what vanilla smells like, but you smell vanilla. You want to know what oak or, barrel tannin or citrus, or there's some weird ones like petrichor, which is like a rotting earth. There's all these different smells out there, and it's a nosing kit to where you can help pinpoint, like, man, I keep smelling this one thing. Like, let's say you're drinking on some 1792, right? Barton 1792. And you get this one note, and it's not cherry, and it's not orange, but then you start smelling around your kit, and you find out, and I don't know if this is it, this might not be it, but you find out it's apricot, right? Most people aren't just eating apricots, right? I actually bought some apricots because I wanted to know what I knew what they were, but I didn't know what they tasted like, so I actually bought some. They're not the greatest thing. They're okay. They were dried, obviously, but they weren't the greatest thing I ever had, but they were okay. Anyway, yeah, it was strange, but so yeah, getting a nosing kit, and you can find those all over the place. Mainly, your more boutique-y whiskey places are going to have them. The one that I found was on Flaviar, which is an online retailer. The issue with Flaviar, and I'll promote them, not promote, but I'll talk about them. They also do the whiskey advent calendars, which are super cool. The issue with me, I tried to get one, and this was 2-3 years ago maybe, and they didn't ship to the US, so that sucked. I was like, okay. And then they sent they made me spend the money, and then afterwards they're like, oh, you're not in the UK, we can't ship to you, sorry. And I was like, jackass, you should have known that. It says Texas right there. What the hell? Anyway, so just make sure if you find, if you find a nosing kit, it gets shipped in your area. So that leads me to the Advent calendar. That's a good segue right into the Advent calendar. I did an Advent calendar last year. I'm probably going to do one this year, if I can stomach it. We'll just leave it at that. But last year, the one I did was from Cask Explorers, Drinks by the Dram. And it was super cool. Super cool. I actually got 25 different whiskeys to try. And I did one a night, which that's a lot. 25 whiskeys. That's a month of whiskey. But it's like a little ounce and a half, like 50 mils maybe of whiskey. And 90% of them were pretty awesome. There was like 2 that I was like, not really great for me. But 90% of them were really good. And like some of them were like really excellent, like Highland Park Fire, what was one of them? Good Lord. I can't even remember. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Just some really good, and they were all Scotch. Unfortunately, they were all Scotches. But they're making some now that are bourbon as well. Not Cask Explorers. You'll have to search around for Advent calendars. Anyway, but the one I did was Cask Explorers, Drinks by the Dram, and it was pretty awesome. It was pretty awesome. I enjoyed it. So look into that too, because unfortunately, by the time when this is out, we're talking, after Black Friday. So you're not going to have a whole lot of time to get it before December 1st if you want to do the 25. They do make a 12 as well, so you can do the 12 days of Christmas or whatever if you want to do that. It might be a little cheaper too, because they're not very cheap. And they have different, the one that I got was a gift, obviously, but the one that I got was, they have different levels. Like you can get the silver, gold, or platinum, ruby, whatever. I don't even remember. But it was like, they significantly went up, but then the whiskey in it got significantly better as well. So, all right. So another cool thing, and this breaks my heart. This part breaks my heart. Is barrel rested coffee. Yeah. So most people who, and this is not a blanket statement, but most people who are into whiskey are into other things as well. Like coffee or beer or wine or other things, right? So a barrel rested coffee, it basically is that. They'll take a whiskey, dump it out of a barrel, whatever that whiskey is. They will take the coffee beans, put them inside that barrel and rest them in there. They get some of the alcohol vapor. They get some of the flavor, I guess, from the barrel. It should be a dry barrel. I wouldn't think it would be wet and getting the beans all soggy, but you do get some of the ethanol bouncing off of the beans, and they absorb some of that flavor. I actually have, trying to yawn. I actually have a bag of coffee beans that were rested in a Lafroig barrel. And if you don't know what Lafroig is, it's a very peaty Islay Scotch. And here's the unfortunate thing. I said it was unfortunate. I cannot stand the taste of coffee right now. So, yeah, that sucks for me. Can't drink coffee right now. I've been on a water kick for 11 days. Yeah, it sucks. Anyway, but barrel rested coffee is a super big thing. And if you're into drip or French press or cappuccino or whatever, they are whole beans. So you just crush them yourself. Or, maybe you can make a little gift basket, and have a little hand grinder with the beans and, some other stuff. Because then also with that, they have other things like barrel rested maple syrup, right? How would you like to eat pancakes that taste like whiskey, right? That's pretty awesome. I did a whiskey tasting recently and got gifted a small thing of maple syrup that was aged in a Whistle Pig rye barrel. Yeah, some maple syrup in a rye barrel. That's awesome. Can't wait to get into that when I have pancakes again. I don't know, whenever that is. Might be good on bacon, actually. Anyway, whatever. But yeah. So, okay, here's the next one. And I tried to get these people as a sponsor, and I'm going to try again. They're called Oaken Iron. Oaken Iron. I think it's OakenIronTX.com. So they're from Texas. And they are they're glass smoking kit. So it's a really cool little aperture that you put on top of your rocks glass. So let's say you make an old fashioned, right? And then you want to smoke it. You can look back into my Instagram, and I did a couple of them back in the day. And you want to smoke it just because the smoke gives it a totally different profile. All those things. So you take this, and it comes with these little wood chips, like wood shavings, looks like. And they have all different types. The one that I got, you can get them monogrammed as well. I got a couple of monogrammed with my logo and stuff. Anyway, I was gonna try and like sell them or something, but then it ended up like the cost versus reward on it was way low. Like I was gonna make 20 cents or something on it, and it just wasn't worth it. And I didn't really get a lot of good feedback from it. So anyway, so you take this thing, you stick it on your finished cocktail, or you can do it on your glass before you even make the cocktail, and you stick these wood chips. So like I got some that were old bourbon barrels, and they, shaved them up and stuck them in there, and then you torch it, and then the smoke goes into the glass and infuses that glass or that ice or that cocktail or whatever. You can do it just with whiskey. It doesn't matter. You don't even have to have a whiskey cocktail. You can do a smoked gin and tonic or whatever you want. I had one comment on my Instagram that said, "Hey, have you ever thought about putting some cannabis in there?" And I was like, No, I haven't. No, haven't thought about that. But you could probably do that. I don't know why you would, but you probably could. But anyway, you can do whatever you want with it. I don't care. But that's pretty cool. So OakenIronTX.com. Again, they're not sponsored. I'm just giving them a shameless plug. I don't know why, but I am. So another cool thing that I saw, and if I need to stop, just let me know. If I'm going too fast, just let me know. No, you can't let me know. Anyway, another cool thing that I saw, and it was from the dreaded Wayfair, which we don't talk about Wayfair because, they want to sell kids. And anyway, long story. Y'all heard about that, right? The Wayfair thing. Anyway, it was a bar display. Yeah, no, I thought it was pretty cool. Like, it's just this little tchotchke, and it's like three little, I don't know if they were like plexiglass or what they were, like plastic shelves with lights in them. And then you had your, like, showcase your bottles on it, or your fancy cocktail thing or whatever you have, because a lot of people make a lot of cocktails, which is fine. Like a lot of people entertain more than I do. I don't entertain anybody. I barely entertain myself. So I definitely don't entertain my wife. I've been home a lot lately, so let's just say my jokes aren't as funny anymore. I don't know why. That's weird. So you basically just put them on the shelf. You turn the light on. It's kind of a cool little display that you can do. So those are on Wayfair. I think I saw one on Amazon as well. Just a little. You can go all out if you want, obviously. I know IKEA has these shelving units that you can get if you have a collection, which, once you start getting into whiskey, I've said this multiple times, whiskey is like Pokemon. You got to catch them all, right? It's just like you start with one and you're like, oh, that one tastes good, and let me try this one. Oh, and that one tastes good. Now let me try this one. Okay, I don't like that one. Let me try that. Next thing you know, you got 800 bottles of whiskey at the house, and you're like, what the hell happened? You know what I mean? You're remortgaging your house just to buy another. I'm joking. That is not what happens. Anyway, it doesn't. It shouldn't. Don't ever let it take control of you like that. That's stupid. Anyway, if you can't afford a bottle, you don't need it. Don't take food out of your baby mouth. Anyway. Oh, here is a cool one. And then we'll take a little break from this real fast. It's a cookbook. Yeah. It's called The Whiskey Cookbook by Richard Thompson. Now, this is an actual book. It's called the Whiskey Cookbook by Richard Thompson. And basically it's, most people make like a bourbon pecan pie or a blah, 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 But these are like actual recipes that you would substitute. Like sometimes you use like a Marsala wine or something to make a dinner, right? Well, you would use whiskey instead. And I thought that was super cool. Like for somebody who's kind of a little chefy, he's a little chefy in the kitchen, or she. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to assume gender. They're chefy in the kitchen, but they also love a good whiskey. It's super cool to have like a little, like, especially with like pastries and desserts and stuff like that. Bourbon goes super well with it. I wouldn't do like a Isla Scotch with it or nothing like that, but like even like some rye bread with some rye whiskey in it, or whatever. Anyway, super cool. Thinking about it like a whiskey cookbook, because like you can pair the whiskey with the food as well. So that's kind of another thing you can do. Like let's say you made a nice steak with a bourbon glaze, right? Well, then you can drink that bourbon with the steak as well, and it kind of gives you like a pairing options as well, which I think is super cool. I might actually get that book. Anyway, or put it on my wish list, for Santa to bring me. All right, so we're going to pause right there. We're not going to pause. I'm not going to actually pause, but I don't know why the music is loud. You know what I mean? Anyway, but I wanted to talk to you about something real fast, something that's near and dear to my heart. And you know what it is. It's Bad Motivator Barrels. And that's the next one on our list is Bad Mo Barrels. So Bad Motivator, if you don't know, they're the sponsor of this podcast. And they've been the running sponsor for a while. Well, what is Bad Mo, you say? Well, it's a small barrel. But it's unlike any barrel you've ever seen. Because 80% of it is stainless steel. So basically what it does is it mimics a 53-gallon barrel. So if you're aging a spirit, or if you're doing what they just released this Black Friday, a infinity barrel. Okay, we already talked about an infinity bottle, right? An infinity barrel. Yeah, it's a thing. Go get you one. They're doing a limited run of them. Now, I will tell you this. They are pricey. They are a little pricey. But I guarantee you use my affiliate link, you'll get a little kick. Just saying. You heard that from me. You didn't hear that from nobody else. Don't ask Chris. He's going to say, no, you're getting paid, charged double. No. You basically, it's an infinity barrel. So you would fill it up with whatever you wanted. Let's say you wanted to age wild turkey. We just had Thanksgiving. You wanted to age some wild turkey more, right? You wanted to age it a little bit longer and get some more flavor. Or you wanted to maybe sherry influence it, or port influence wild turkey or something like that. You'd fill it. You don't have to fill the barrel up all the way. It's a pretty good sized barrel. It holds 750 gallons. 750 milliliter. Lord, 750 gallon. That'd be a lot. But you would basically put it in there, let it sit, let it marry, add different things to it. You want to do a cask strength, you can put a little bit more heat in there. You can do, you can mix a little single malt in there if you want it to be a little malty, add a little smoke to it, put a little Andalusia Striker in there, get a little smoke character on it. You can do whatever you want. And that's the cool thing about those, especially the new Infinity barrels. They have a bung on top of them. And you can add, subtract, take out, do whatever you want. And it will just develop those flavors over time. And it comes with a little book that you can write down your progress of what you put in there and stuff like that. Super cool. So go pick one up today. It's they're doing a sale for Black Friday. So I think it's through the weekend. So you'll have a little time once this comes out, because this is coming out soon. Once this comes out, you'll have time to go out there and go pick you up a barrel. But if you don't want that and you just want a normal barrel, they got used oak, new oak, French oak. I think they might still have some Garyana oak, which is Oregon oak. They have all different types. And you're probably thinking, well, what am I going to do with it? I don't have all this liquor. Well, maybe you're a guy who works in the shed and does some stuff on the side. Who knows? I don't care what you do with them. They look cool in the bar. we were talking about your bar back. They look cool in the bar. Guarantee you make it. I wouldn't do an old fashioned in it because obviously the sugar's gonna like spoil after a while. But you make a cocktail in that thing, dude. You're gonna be the hit of the party for sure. So anyway, go use my link below, and I thank Dadmo for sponsoring this podcast as always. Love you guys. And Chris, dude, he's just an amazing guy. He really is. He's more than helped me. And I think we've worked together a little bit trying to get all this stuff going on. He's just a good ear to talk with, and he's very knowledgeable about spirit aging in those barrels. So if you have any questions, make sure drop him a line too. Anyway, moving right along. See, that wasn't too hard. It didn't hurt that bad. Okay, so I saw this and I thought, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen, but it's also really cool. It's called Bro Basket. I know, it's so cringe. Brobasket.com. And so basically, if you were buying for somebody else, you would go on there and you would be like, what does this person like? He likes whiskey. Well, what kind of whiskey? Well, he likes single malt scotch. Okay. Does he like beef jerky? Yes. Does he like coffee? No. Does he like popcorn? Yes. Does he, you have all this checklist of crap that you go through, and they literally make you a basket that is curated to those specifications. So you want a basket with some Lafroig and some beef jerky and some kettle corn and some barrel-aged coffee. Boom, got it. That's 5 or 6 of the things we've already talked about on here in one basket. I thought that was pretty cool. It's super stupid, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not a Dude Bro fan at all, but at the same time, like, it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool if you're into stuff like that. And then there's those things like, you see them all the time. It's called like Bespoke Post, right? And it's like a monthly subscription thing. And like every month you get like different things. I know there's a lot of like YouTube channels and stuff that talk about Bespoke Post and how like you got this knife and you got this really cool field kit, and then you got this bug out bag, and then the next week you get like all these different hot sauces or some shit. I don't even know. But anyway, there's so much cool stuff out there that you can just find, Yeah. Anyway. Okay. So this next one, if you don't know, I am by trade. I haven't done it in a minute yet, but by trade, I am a plumber. So we do a lot of obviously sink installs and faucet installs and stuff. And one of the new things that people have been using or doing or installing is those little drink rinser things like you see at the bars. They're like little, the little things. They sell those, and there's I'm gonna butcher the name of the one I found. HomFanglassrinser.com, and they're on Amazon, I think. And it was like $20-$30. The issue is you have to plumb it. Obviously, you got to hook it up and all that stuff. So it could take some installation and stuff like that. So, and for $20-$30, what are you really getting? Because I know Delta, the faucet manufacturer, makes one as well, and it's like $100 and something. So I'm not telling you to go out and buy the expensive one because I don't care. I wouldn't really use. Now I have the whiskey glasses, the Glencairns, right? They work really good in the dishwasher, right? As long as they're not like, if they have like monogramming on them, you have to watch out sometimes, because if it's not sandblasted, if it's just laser engraved, sometimes that can come off. Anyway, just letting you know. But the Glencairns, I just throw them in there. But like if you had a rocks glass and you had like some syrup left over in it or something, you could use that thing and clean it off. It's a nichey little product for a whiskey person, but it's also in your bar. It would be pretty cool if you had like a bar sink with one of those little to do. That would be pretty fun, and it would be like a novelty item that you could just be like, "Hey, bud, use this." Sorry, I need a drink real fast. Okay, we're running through these, bro. I'm so sorry. Well, okay, so little caveat, and I'm not trying to sound gross or rude or crude, But in doing chemotherapy, one of the things that I've noticed, one of the side effects for me, it makes you supposedly, it makes you very nauseous, right? Because it's poison going in your body. It's literal poison. Metal-based poison, which is like, oh God. It's probably the worst thing you could put in your body ever. Like, literally ever. It literally kills your body. Anyway, sorry. I have been burping so much. And, like, I don't eat, but, like, I burp so much. And, like, I'll take a drink of water and immediately start burping. And so if I do that again, I'm very sorry. Okay, another thing that we had alluded to earlier was barrel-aged, right? And so around this time, I don't know why it's around this time. I guess because it's getting cooler and the want for stouts and imperial stouts and porters are a little more available, I guess. And so that would be barrel-aged beer. Yeah, it's a thing. And it's a really cool thing. I know that E.H. Taylor does a special release every year of a beer that they make called their Bigfoot. I don't know if they make it or if they sponsor with somebody. They take the E.H. Taylor barrel and they send it to a brewery and they put a imperial stout in it, and they age it in that imperial stout for like a year in that barrel, and it imparts a lot of that whiskey flavor. Obviously, it's called Bigfoot. You can't find it. I've looked for it. You can't find it. I do like imperial stout, but you have one. That that's pretty much it. You're not gonna get that many. If you can drink a 6-pack of imperial stouts, you're doing something. Anyway, but those are super cool because they have a lot of whiskey flavors, but they're not as alcoholic. And a lot of times you can buy them in like 2-pack or 4-pack or something like that, so you don't have to buy like a case of them, because like I said, you're not going to drink that many of them in one sitting. So I thought that was kind of cool, like just a cool beer that you would just try. They're super like sweet and toffee and stuff like that, so it would go really good. Like maybe a cool thing to do would be like, let's say you find I saw one earlier that was 4 Roses, and it was what was it, New England, the people that make Fat Tire. Anyway, they had got with 4 Roses and made a imperial stout and put it in one of their barrels. So it'd be really cool to get a bottle of 4 Roses and get that imperial stout and sit down and do side by side and kind of do a side by side tasting and see if you could pick out the notes in each one of them. And then a lot of times what they'll do after they put the stout in it and they dump the stout and they bottle the stout, they will put whiskey back in that barrel and make a stout finished, you know what I mean? A stout finished whiskey, which is pretty cool. I don't know why my mic is... Oh my God, I hit myself in the face. I'm such an idiot. I'm sorry. I'm trying to adjust. All right. This one is going to get... Yeah. Okay, we're going to go there. There's some people out there that for Christmas, they want to give big gifts. Big gifts. We're talking... You ever seen those Lexus commercials where they're like, here, I bought you a car for Christmas or whatever, I bought you a Lexus. And I'm like, do people actually do that? Like, do people actually buy people Lexuses for Christmas? I don't know. Anyway, but one of the things is a stay on the Bourbon Trail. Yeah. You go on the Whiskey Bourbon Trail, and you basically have like a B&B or whatever. You stay at the Bourbon Trail. I mean, that is like a bucket list item that I would love to do. Like, I've never been to Kentucky, Tennessee, I haven't been a whole lot of places. But anyway. But yeah, no, it would be... I know that Woodford Reserve has a couple of... like a B&B, and they, in their B&B packages has, like a barrel, not a barrel pick, but like a distillery tour and like all of this other stuff in that. And like they schedule the times for you to come to the distillery and you like have a nice dinner and like do all these things. It's super cool, super fun. Don't ask me how much it costs. I'm sure it's thousands of dollars. Way more than I can afford to pay for, and then you gotta think, well, what are we gonna do with the kids? And then, it's like, it's really hard when you have a family to do something like that. That's like a planned trip that's, it's not just something you can drop everything and go. But anyway, but that is super cool. But another cool thing, like I said, or at the very first, was going to, like let's say you're a wife and you want to buy your husband something and you don't know what to get. You go to, like I said, the local distillery, pick up a bottle. It doesn't even have to be the special bottle or the whatever. And then ask them if they have like a distillery tour package. And if they do, have them give you that as like kind of a thing. Hand it to him and say, hey, we're going to go spend the day at blank distillery. We're going to hang out and like, have it all planned out and ready to go. Get babysitters and do whatever you got to do. And then you go have the distillery tour. And then hopefully they'll have a special bottle. Maybe he can do some barrel samples or something like that. Normally on distillery tours, they do a couple barrel samples, which is, to me, that's the best part. Getting to drink the whiskey right out of the barrel. Oh man, that's heaven right there. If you've never done it, you need to do it because it's so much fun. And it's obviously super high proof, so that helps too. But yeah, I mean, so just going to a distillery and being like, hey, I want to get my husband a tour package, and let's see what we can. And they can do it for 3-4 people if he wants to bring some friends, whatever. If you want to make it romantic, you do what you want to do. I'm not going to get into your business, but that is one thing you can do, and that is super cool. And it's a lot cheaper than going to the Bourbon Trail or planning a trip to Scotland or something like that. Those are bucket list items that, yes, I think everybody should do once. Everybody should go to Scotland and go to Springbank and play in the mash tun and drink their whiskey and have a great time and have fun and eat haggis and do all the things. Yes, that should be a bucket list item for everybody. I agree. But for most people, it's not in the cards all the time. So what we have to do is we have to make little trips that are memorable, just as memorable, that are going to, you'd be like, remember that one Christmas when we went? Yes, I do. And maybe have it happen like during Christmas break. You know what I mean? Like give it to them on Christmas, and then you guys go, that next week, in between Christmas and New Year's. And because most people, not everybody, but most people are off a lot of that time. Go and have fun, and and again, I'm getting back on that, and I'm sorry. But that's the whole part of whiskey, is enjoying it and enjoying the company and the time and the people around it, and the people who made it and all of that. So that's a really big part of this whole season as well, is being around people that you love and people that support you and that want to be around you and the people that you love. So I think that's just kind of a cool little thing that you can do. And no matter where you're at, there's a niche little distillery. Might not even be a whiskey distillery. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Just somebody doing cool stuff. You know what I mean? Somebody doing cool stuff. I have a couple distilleries in my town that they don't make whiskey. The closest one is like 30 miles away, which isn't that far away, really, if you think about it. It's not. Been there a couple times, but I normally go a little bit farther. But anyway, there is one tasting room here in town. But anyway, so the last one I have, and it's not the last one because I have a couple more in my head that we can talk about, but the last one, it's kind of like what I talked about with the Batmo Infinity barrel, is a journal. And I know that sounds stupid. I know it does. It sounds like why would you want a journal? That's dumb. It's like a Diary of a Wimpy Kid type shit. No, it's not. It is a whiskey journal. Like, when you start getting into whiskey, when you start understanding whiskey, you start developing flavors, and you start thinking about different whiskeys and, stuff like that. So you want to expand your palate, you know what I mean? So that when you expand your palate, so that when, like, let's say you really enjoy bourbon, you go back to this one bourbon and you're like, hey, I get this note, and this note out of this bourbon. Cool. You know what I mean? Let me try something similar to that. And so you write down these notes. Not everybody does that, and that's fine. But at the same time, there are some people out there that want to do that, and they want to critique that. And having a journal to write down even just basic tasting notes. Did you like it? Did you not like it? And then as they develop in that bottle, like I've told people multiple times on this show, like when the bottle opens up to you, and you sit with that bottle, not in one night, you sit with that bottle and you're like, hey, this bottle's opening up a little bit, and now I taste this and this. Write those things down, because then you have a log of when you go back. Let's say you go to a bar and you try that same exact whiskey at a bar. Why you would do that, I don't know. But anyway, every time I go to a bar or whatever, I always try something different just because I can. But you try that same whiskey again, you might get different notes, right? So having a journal of all that stuff. There are some really cool journals on Etsy. Yeah, I know I'm supporting Etsy. No, it's fine, because they're really independent and they're really cool stuff. Yeah, go get a journal, and you can like get it engraved and stuff like that. Kind of nichey, but it's super cool for the whiskey nerd, obviously. All right, so we're getting to the part of the show where you're like, but what about the whiskey, right? What about, like, what if my significant, I keep saying husband because I'm a husband, and I'm talking to my wife basically right now. And what if she's like, what bottle do you want? Do you want a bottle? Like, let me buy you a bottle. So we're going to caveat into that. And I'm going to give you 5 bottles. Yeah, I know. I'm going to give you 5 bottles that I would recommend for this year. Most of these I have had. 2 of them I have not. I've heard really good things, though. So leave it at that. All right, I'm going to do the 2 that I have not had first, because I feel like I need to get those out of the way, because I have no preconceived nothing to them other than the fact that I've heard really good things from reputable people that I trust. Okay. Number 1 would be Elijah Craig Barrel Proof C923. Okay. It's that specific bottling. Okay. So you have to get specific with it. C923. Normally, and I know we're getting super nerdy. I'm sorry. I didn't want to, but you made me do it. Normally, Elijah Craig is 12 years old. It's a 12-year-old Kentucky bourbon, right? This one is 13 years and some change. It has like a couple months or whatever. So it's a little older, it's a little spicier, and it's a lot nicer. So I've heard. I have not had it, but I've had multiple people that I've talked to personally, and I'm looking at getting a sample of it. Just saying. Multiple people have told me that it is fantastic if you can find it. That's the if you can find it. Most of these bourbons or whiskeys are going to be allocated, unfortunately. And if you don't know what allocated is, that means hard to find. That's just what people do, man. I'm sorry. There's a couple on here that aren't. But anyway. That one to me, I love Elijah Craig. Elijah Craig's great. It's a great bourbon. It's reasonably priced. Even the barrel proofs are getting more reasonably priced now. I've been able to pick up a couple of barrel proofs. Really excited because used to not be able to in my area pick up the barrel proofs. So that's super cool. Really happy about that. Okay, so we did Elijah Craig barrel proof C923. Okay, so the next one. Yeah. Anything from BTAC. Yeah, anything from BTAC. If you can find it in a lottery. So BTAC is Buffalo Trace Antique Collection, right? So that's going to be your George T. Stagg, your William LaRue Weller, your Eagle Rare 17, your Sazerac 18, your Thomas H. Handy, right? I have heard that the Thomas H. Handy 23, the 2023 edition is amazing, and it is not the cheapest one. Obviously, none of them are cheap. If you can find them, you're going to find them in lottery if you find them. But if you can find it, get it. You'll be a winner in anybody's eyes. I don't care if they're a whiskey snob, a tater hunter. I don't care. If you can find it, it's going to be worthwhile. Anybody would want to have those on their shelf. Anybody. If you can find them at retail. Don't pay more than retail for it. Maybe a little bit over, but you're talking retail could be $300. So on some of these. So they shouldn't be, but I would not pay more. I've been looking for a William LaRue Weller for a while. I saw one somewhere, I don't remember, at a liquor store, and it was $1,800. And I was like, no, I don't care. I don't need it that bad. When you got to make decisions on you paying mortgage or not, are you buying a bottle of whiskey? No, ain't gonna happen. Anyway, so I know that was kind of a cop-out move, but anything from BTAC, the Weller line, anything from the Weller line is going to be a good fit. Blanton's, obviously, any of those ones that, those tater hunters that they run after. Unfortunately, around the holidays, everybody wants those, which I don't care. All of those are good whiskeys. You know what I mean? I know of better whiskeys, but all of those are good whiskeys. So, okay, so let's move on. So one that I have in my cabinet all the time, that it is an amazing bourbon. Yeah, it's a bourbon. Is Old Grandad 114. Yeah. You can find it, hopefully you'll find it everywhere all the time. 114 proof, right? It's not, it's a heavy hitter. It's like 6-7 years old. It is probably one of the best bourbons on the market right now. And it's $25, $30 at the most. Yeah, I know. So that's my go-to. I do love the Old Grandad Bottled and Bond as well. Either one of those are great. The 114 is a little bit better, obviously. The higher proof just gives it's a little more viscous and stuff like that. But either one of those are amazing, and you should be able to find them damn near anywhere. Okay, so the next one to me would be, I'm Scotch Malt Whiskey Association, right? Society. I'm sorry, Scotch Malt Whiskey Society, SMWS. A subscription to SMWS. It's about $100 and something to subscribe. You can get the little intro kit, and I've done a couple of their samples. Amazing stuff. If you know somebody who's into Scotch or could be into Scotch, it's amazing. Do it. They have yearly releases of specialty bottlings that they're doing. They're doing one for Christmas or Black Friday or whatever, and it's an amazing thing. So anything from Scotch Malt Whiskey Society is going to be absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Yeah. Hands down. And then the last one for me, and then we're going to get off, is pretty much, and I haven't had a lot of their offerings, but pretty much anything from Lost Lantern. They're an independent bottling facility, and they take different distilleries and they showcase those distilleries and put them in the forefront. And they just released one from Andalusia whiskey. They've released some from Balcones, Cedar Ridge, McCarthy's, you name it. I mean, and there's some bourbon ones in there. There's, it's mostly American single malt, but there's a lot of bourbons. There's some rye in there. It's really, really cool. They do Westward, Westland, all of the big hitters, Stranahan's, all of the big hitters out there, but they do it in one place, and it's a single barrel, so you're getting a particular profile on that, and it's so good. I just opened the Cedar Ridge that I got from them. It's a 6-year-old Cedar Ridge finished in sherry barrels. Oh, it is fantastic. I cannot sing its praises enough. Anyway, I don't know why I'm talking about my whiskey now, but it actually makes me want to have a dram, which is kind of nice. Haven't had whiskey in a minute because I haven't been able to stomach it, but I don't know if I'll do it tonight. I might tomorrow night. My wife is out of town this weekend. She is taking my son to New York. Now, I know what you're thinking. Don't you have the treatment? And that's kind of poor timing, don't you think? And no, this has been in the books for months. Absolutely months. A long time. And my son, I've never been either, but my son's never been to New York, and they're going for the whole Christmas market and the Central Park and to do all the things, okay? This has been planned a long time ago, and I'm actually having a good week, and my daughter is here to take care of me, even though she can't even take care of herself, but she is here to take care of me, and I have family very close by. I am in good hands. And believe me, I don't do nothing but sit on the dang couch. So don't worry about me. I'm going to be fine. And she needed a break from me because these past couple of weeks have been stressful to her. Actually, the past couple of months have been stressful to her. So anyway. So yeah, I'm home alone, but not alone. My daughter's here, but she's in her room all the time. So that doesn't count. But yeah, no, I think that's going to do it. I hope you guys enjoyed these little holiday gift ideas that you can do. And there's all kinds of other stuff. If you have any questions or comments, please reach me at Whiskeyshamanpodcast@gmail.com or on any of my socials, _Whiskey I'd be glad to talk to you about them. And yes, I did a post recently about the challenge coins that I have. I am looking at getting more challenge coins made. And so I'm working on a list of people who want challenge coins, and I'm trying to get shipping and stuff like that. I'm doing this out of my house with chemo head. So, you're going to have to bear with me a minute. But anyway, I really appreciate all of you guys and all the support and all the prayers and all the love. And I thank you all very much. And I wish you all the best and have the happiest of holidays. And I will talk to you very soon. And hopefully we will have some podcasts with actual people here pretty soon. If I'm feeling good this weekend. I do have a treatment on Tuesday. We'll see how that knocks me down. But hopefully not. And then we'll get some people in here and we'll talk about some whiskey and whiskey related things. All right. And I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. All right. So y'all be good, be safe, and be thankful. And as always, keep your spirits up. Peace out.